Almost a year before we closed on this barn, we were on a completely different path.
Rise and shine. Today is the day I have been waiting for, and I know I am probably the most excited about this than all parties involved, but we are officially closing on the future workshop space of Script and Grain. Let's go sign on the dotted line and make this property ours.
We were excited, we did our homework, and we stepped into the process ready to learn. What we fully didn't understand just yet, though, was how layered the process could be, and it just never seemed to work out. At some point, dreams stop living in your head and start demanding space, just as this bank barn has done since its standing, which is estimated to be in the early to middle 1800s. Long before us, long before power tools and deadlines and to-do lists. It's seen generations come and go, seasons change, and work done the hard way.
Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Jess, the maker behind Script and Grain, and this is where our business, our family of 7, and a leap of faith all collide. We don't have the perfect plan, just a shared vision and the willingness to figure it out together. We still believe in that property and what it can be someday, but it became clear this wasn't the season for it. And sometimes the hardest part of building is knowing when to pause. Fast forward 10 months later, in the middle of October, Ben gives me a call and tells me that a property that we have previously expressed interest in was finally on the market. When I took his phone call, everything goes rushing through my head because we have a property, and in early October, we finally got the ball rolling on it, but now here's a structure that's already complete. It is zoned residential, but it has been grandfathered into or non-conforming use of a trade in the building, which would be perfect for Script and Grain. We decided to call our local realtor, who got us in almost immediately, and within 12 hours, he was able to guide us into the components of making an offer that could be favorable to both us and the seller as well. We found out shortly after making that offer that there was other offers coming in, and some were even higher than what we previously offered, but we just put a lot of faith in our real estate agent and also in ourselves, and trusted the process and thought, if it's meant to be, it will be. Now, it sounds so easy and cliche to say that. Of course, I didn't think that they would accept our offer when there were other higher offers, but it just goes to show that working with the right real estate agent and knowing the market and knowing what could be favorable to both parties in the quickest manner or timeline possible for closure, it can really help and it can really benefit. After months and months of waiting and wondering, the timing just seemed impossible to ignore. The delays weren't dead ends, they were redirections. We realized we didn't need to force the original plan when something better had already been standing here all along. We knew that once again we would have our work cut out for us. There's knowing and applying for variances versus special exceptions, a public notice, a township meeting, title searches, working with lawyers. There were so many hands in the pot already, even before we were able to close on the property. And I want to say that almost 2 full months had passed between when we made the offer was accepted, and the actual closing date. So we did learn as well that buying a property like this, or like anything, isn't a fast process. And it really shouldn't be if you're doing the right due diligence. The most important thing to know is that this is not a story about luck. It's about patience, and it's about listening and knowing when to keep pushing and when to pivot. Next, we step inside and we learn what this barn wants to become. This is the bottom of the barn and would serve as the primary workshop of Script and Grain if we were to move in here. As you can see, it is huge and has beautiful brick walls. This goes to an outside docking area, and then there's plenty of electrical for us to put machines, paint, stain, the whole 9 yards in this area. There's also a bathroom down here and a slop sink, and the slop sink is a luxury I don't currently have that I would love to have. There is so much potential down here, and although it was configured to fit other trades, it is just perfect for us to re-envision and reconstruct the way that it will best suit Script and Grain.
Things about our barn here is all the wood that you see is all chestnut. We actually had a structural engineer come in and take a look at things, and you can actually see it was all hand hewn. So somebody took an axe and chopped this down to straighten it out. Nothing was put through a saw. And this is a big beam. This is probably 1 foot by 1 foot beam. It's pretty cool. The structural engineer really loved it. He really liked at the bottom. There's not a lot of rot going on underneath. So he said that means that the building is dry, it's structurally stable. So pretty cool characteristics of an old barn. Now this was a bank barn, and you can see that there's an offset over here on the wall. Now the wall isn't the prettiest, and we'll clean that up later. But there's an offset right in the wall, and that's where the actual wagon and carts would pull in. So that's where the actual bank was built up. So they made the wall, had to make the foundation thicker at that location. Then you can see it bumps back in where the ground would taper off on the outside. One other thing to look at is up here along these beams, you can see that everything's nice and dry and you don't see a lot of wood rot. It means we have a good structurally stable barn. So as we continue to clean this mess up, and it will start to look better and better. This is probably the worst timber of all of them, but the engineer said still in great shape, very good. And yeah, over here you can get a better look at the bank barn. So he was thinking the barn sometime between the 1880s, 1800 to 1880 as he's thinking. Like we can't nail down a date. The title search doesn't go back that far, but I mean, back in that time, certainly horse and wagon, horse and buggy would be coming in through and going up into the top piece of the barn. Goal is salvage everything, refinish it, get everything looking nice, and yeah, it'll be our workspace.
Currently, we envision each floor as a different phase of our renovation project. While we don't know exactly what we want all this space to be utilized for, there is a lot that needs to be done and updated. These walls weren't my ideal walls, but there is so much character, like this ladder, left in the barn that we really want to preserve. We'd like to knock out all the walls on the second floor and really open up the space so we can start from scratch and see everything that could possibly go into it. One of the first things that we realized when we took ownership of the barn is exactly how much space we have to work with, and the fact that it is ample room for everything that we could possibly need. So not only would this allow me to have a workshop downstairs, but it could also allow me the opportunity to have a functional studio upstairs and all of this space in order to store products that can move off the shelves quickly. I really think that one of the benefits of doing this in different phases is that right now we're so focused on getting the workshop done that we're not pressured to have answers to all of the questions in what happens in the rest of the barn. And really, it gives us more time to think and to talk and to generate ideas with our family and each other to see what ways it could best be utilized. Now, this third floor is one of my favorite spaces in the whole barn. It has so much charm and character, and the chestnut beams are all exposed, and it is truly just wide open. This building right here looks like it was some kind of office space that is going to be completely gutted, and it'll leave that third floor nice and clean and open.
What you saw here was the barn exactly as it was before closing day, before demolition, before plans were even configured, and before any decisions were made about what stays and what goes. This was our chance to walk it and study it and really understand what we were stepping into before any real changes began. Next, we'll shift the focus from possibility to process, navigating what it really takes to move from vision to ownership and everything that comes into closing.